Hi, welcome back to PsychologyWorks. I'm Dr. Greenaway, and this series is focusing on adult ADHD. In this segment, we're going to be looking at one of the biggest problems that ADHD causes, and that is procrastination. Let's look at some of the reasons that people procrastinate, some of the thoughts and beliefs that they have that would lead them to think procrastinating is a good thing. One of the belief systems that leads to procrastination is perfectionism, wanting it to be just right and anything less than that not good enough. And so people will procrastinate because they are wanting in their mind to know exactly what is going to get this task to be perfect. And so they keep putting it off and putting it off. Another mindset that promotes procrastination is the mindset of being overwhelmed. The thought that this is an insurmountable task, or the belief that this is going to take forever and it's never going to be able to get done anyway. That reduces the motivation to get it done and leads to procrastination. Another aspect that makes procrastination happen is difficulty finding the starting point. But if you're unclear of where to begin, this can also feel daunting and make somebody procrastinate. The next cause for procrastination is the feeling of discomfort. It may be a task that is not very much fun, or you know you're going to have to tolerate or endure some boredom while you're doing the task. Or you might know that you're going to have to endure some frustration. It may be a task that is not super easy to do, and you're going to have to sit and concentrate and maybe not understand it at first. And that can cause negative feelings and frustration that we want to avoid, and so we will put off tasks for that reason. Another cause for procrastination is this idea that there will be time later, that there'll be a better time. Maybe you're waiting for the urge to do the task to come, and that time never comes, and you never do feel like doing it, and so it just keeps becoming later and later and later. Or you feel like possibly that there isn't enough time to finish it right then, so you don't even want to get started on it. Now, what we want to look at next are the negative consequences of procrastinating. And hopefully you have a notebook. If you don't, pause this and go and get one, because you want to be writing these down so that you can incorporate them into your week after watching this. So when you are experiencing some of these beliefs or feelings or attitudes that are leading to procrastination, you want to be aware of it, and then you want to remind yourself of the negative consequences of procrastinating so that you can battle the negative view that's causing you to procrastinate. Number one is the stress of procrastinating, the stress of the deadline coming up, the concern of what's going to happen when you finish this task and it is subpar, or maybe doesn't get done at all. Then there's the fact that this task, which is already unattractive in the first place, is going to be even more unattractive if you're having to squeeze it in at the last minute. You may have had other plans or things you wanted to do, and now you're going to have to cancel those to focus on this activity or this task that's due the next day. Another negative about procrastinating is that the task might not even get finished. And then you're going to be in trouble with whoever's expecting it to get done. It can upset the people who are expecting you to finish this task, and that's not good. And then we have the negative self-view. The feeling that I'm a failure, the feeling that I can't do anything right. So now we know the mindset, the attitudes, the views that promote procrastination, and we know the negative consequences of procrastination. So now the most exciting step is, what can we do about it so that we will be completing the tasks that we want to get done? They're going to be the quality that we expect them to be and our best work. And we're going to be able to avoid the stress of procrastinating. Get out a piece of paper, and we're going to divide it into 4 sections. This is going to be a pros cons chart for procrastination so that we can look at it and refer to it when we start feeling that urge to procrastinate. What we're going to have on the top of the column is short term and long term. On the left-hand column, we want to have the pros and the cons of procrastinating. So let's think about it. You can fill in some of your own ideas if I don't list them, but some of the short-term pros, the benefits of procrastinating, is you get out of work and you can do what you want. And that's really what you want to do anyway, is to do the more enjoyable, the more interesting, the more challenging, the more fun task instead of this task that you're putting off. So that's a short-term benefit. What is the long-term benefit of procrastinating? That one probably is going to be left blank. What are the short-term cons of procrastinating? Well, one is the anxiety or the stress that you're going to feel often when you are procrastinating, and you know you have this thing that's hanging over your head that you need to do, and you're not doing it, and you're feeling that intensity or that uneasiness. Now, the long-term cons of procrastinating are all those things we talked about are problematic from procrastinating. The not getting the work done, or doing a shoddy job, or upsetting those around us, or feeling bad about ourselves, those kinds of things. We can clearly see that there are reasons to stop procrastinating, no matter how much we try to convince ourselves that we work better under pressure, and procrastinating is a great way to handle this task, because then the deadline will come and then I'll really get into it and it's going to be great. That's a bunch of BS. The next strategy that we're going to do, we've already talked about it in the first episode, and if you haven't seen that one, I really urge you to go back and look at that one, because it helps set up this whole plan for adults with ADHD for all of these other tasks to be working. And we talked about task deconstruction. So you take a task that feels overwhelming or insurmountable, or for which you're not sure where to start. You sit and you do nothing else but simply plan out the steps to that task. So let's take, for example, clean the house. It's the weekend. You know that clean the house is one of your goals, and you think of that at first as one task. All I have to do is clean the house. But with task deconstruction, we realize that is not one task. It's a series of tasks. And so we want to break it down on paper, making sure that each step along the way seems fairly manageable and short-term. So for example, we might say clean the kitchen, clean the bathroom, clean the bedroom. And then we will realize that something like cleaning the kitchen is not one task, but that too is a series of tasks that we call clean the kitchen. And so we can break that down. Do the dishes, wipe off the counters, sweep the floor, mop the floor, wipe off the cabinets, whatever list that you want to make. But if you do it in an organized list, you will see that it is not an endless series of steps. It has a finite end to it. And you can also see that each step along the way is not that difficult, and you can get better at estimating how long will that task take. One of the biggest problems with ADHD is time estimation. How long will a task take, and how long have I been doing this task? Once you do this task deconstruction, you start to get better at estimating how long something will take. So make sure you're doing task deconstruction. That's going to be a big one in ending this procrastination problem. Another tool, another strategy for ending the procrastination problem is what I call plan the end time. What is plan the end time? You can also refer to it as plan the break time. Before you even begin the task, you look at the clock, note what time it is, and you estimate, or you give yourself an allotted amount of time that you're going to spend on that task before the break, or before you're going to stop. The next strategy is known as the Premack Principle. What the Premack Principle says is that a person is more willing to do an undesirable activity if they know they are then allowed to do a desirable activity afterwards. So you think of something that you would rather do, the very thing you're going to do while you're procrastinating. That will be your desired activity. And you do not let yourself do that desired activity until you have finished at least the step or some steps of the task that you're putting off. So before I watch TV, I've got to spend 1 hour on my taxes. Or before I go out for a bike ride, I've got to clean the bathroom. Or I'm going to allow myself to purchase this item if I do all of the tasks in cleaning the house today. Now the final tool that I really want you to learn, because it doesn't only apply to procrastination but to so many things in life, and that is increasing your ability to tolerate discomfort. Think about that for a minute. We're always taught to alleviate discomfort, always be relaxed, always feel comfortable. So how do we get better at tolerating discomfort? I'll tell you how to do that. There are 3 truths about discomfort that you must remind yourself of. And if you can remember these things, you will feel more likely to do the task, even if it requires you to be bored while you're doing it. It may require you to feel some frustration while you're doing it. It may require you to be physically uncomfortable while you're doing it. Maybe it's outside work where you're going to be hot. Maybe it's something where you have to move boxes, or something that is just unpleasant. So here are the 3 truths that will help you to endure instead of avoid. 1, any kind of discomfort has a peak to it. It has a level to where it can't get any more uncomfortable than this. If you think about it, there is nothing that can continuously, indefinitely continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. 2, that goes hand in hand with that, is I can tolerate that discomfort even at its peak level. So think about all the times in the past where you did have to endure or tolerate something uncomfortable. You've always been able to tolerate it. The 3rd one is it's temporary. If you put all 3 of those together and you remind yourself that this task may be unpleasant, I may have to be bored during it, I may have to feel physically uncomfortable doing it, I may have to feel some frustration or upset while I'm doing it. However, that amount of discomfort has a peak to it. I can tolerate that peak, and primarily I can tolerate it because I know it's temporary. And if you remind yourself of that, you're more likely to stop avoiding it and just get in there and do it and get it done, and then go and do something fun. So folks, think about this. I know it sounds like the 10 simple steps to reducing procrastination, but these are really skills. They're life-changing skills, and you're not going to be perfect at it the first week. They aren't simple steps. They are talents, skills, abilities, however you want to think of it, that are going to require practice. And the only way to practice is to start applying them today. Please, if you didn't write this down, rewatch the video and have a notebook ready. Write these things down and start applying them this week. I'm Dr. Greenaway, and I will see you in the next episode. And remember, psychology works.